try to do this without rambling too much. So, I have had the worst case video posting block. Because I've had, over the last month or so, I've had all kinds of stuff going on. My mom passed away. One of my cars was threatened to be crushed. That's my Ford Pinto that I drag raced all over Southern California for a while. For a long while. And then I have a 1967 Oldsmobile in California. And so everything's been like super compressed happening to me all at once. Plus, we've had route changes at work and other kinds of drama, minor drama. So, I've had the worst block because I can't focus on what I want to talk about. So, here's the best I can do. I'm going to try to go recent to past. So, I did get my Ford Pinto home, and I'll do a separate video on that. Not sure if I even posted on this. So, but the most recent thing is my Ford Excursion and my Oldsmobile Saga. So, I requested 5 days off to go and recover my Oldsmobile. I have a 1967 Oldsmobile F85. No, it's not the little Buick 215 engined car. It's a base model Oldsmobile with a Cutlass body, but the bumpers and the taillights are different and the chrome trim are different, which makes the car semi-rare. Well, it is a rare car because it's the only one I'm aware of that's made it, and it's a survivor car in that sense. So anyway, my sister is selling my mom's trailer, and it was put under the gun because I need to move the Oldsmobile. So everything's been kind of half planned. So in the shortest way I can describe it is I asked work for 5 days off so that I could have enough time to recover my Olds. So and one of my neighbors, I had asked him if he would like to go with. Or I told him that I was going to go and recover my Oldsmobile, and he kind of offered to help. So, okay, cool. Thank you. So the day comes when I need to get going. And so I had reserved the trailer, and I went over to Uhaul and probably received some of the worst customer service I have ever had. I went in to pick up this trailer. I'm going to pay almost $400 for this trailer, and the customer service person or the service person or the manager or probably somebody who's not really should be in management would not give me eye contact, period, at the U-Haul office. This is 7 a.m. I had just gotten off work at about 1:30 a.m. So I'm tired. I got maybe 2 hours of sleep and came into U-Haul so I could pick up my trailer. This customer service rep would not give me eye contact, not conversive, not anything. Basically, slap, slap, sign here, da, 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 stand in line, you're in boot camp. That's basically the attitude I got from U-Haul. So that was okay. Not okay, but I needed the trailer, so I posted my bail for the trailer and came back home. with the trailer hooked up to my Excursion, and I'm ready to go. So the second thing that happened was my cat. What are you doing, Jules? Wow. He's chasing something. So anyway, I got home and because it's 7 a.m. and normal people, people who have jobs are usually up. But my neighbor, who's got his own issues, so I figured I would take a nap until 11 o'clock. So I go over at 11 o'clock and he's avoiding me. I'm like, okay, well, I'm getting a weird vibe. I'm like, so what's the story? Do you want to go? He's like, oh, yeah, but I got to do this, that, and the other, and everything like that. And I'm like, okay. And he says, well, I got some stuff that I need to do, and he's known about this for a couple of weeks. And he indicated that he wanted to go with me. So I'm sitting there, after 11 o'clock, because I gave him a chance to wake up or do whatever it is he wants to do. And he's all, well, I got stuff to do and I'll let you know by 3. I'm like, WTF? You said you wanted to go. I thought you would be ready. No, I didn't say this directly to him, but I'm a little concerned. So I went back home and took a short nap because I could use the nap. And about 3 o'clock, no knock on the door, no nothing. So I left without him. I didn't get the vibe that he wanted to help. I didn't get any confirmation from him on anything that's going. So I got a full tank of gas. I got things to do, and I don't have unlimited time. I actually have a job that I have to keep. So I started my trip to California at 3 p.m. and I hit traffic. So that's not a problem, except for that I didn't want to drive into the sunset, which is why I wanted to leave at 11, because I was giving him a break so that he could get whatever was supposed to be planned done. So anyway, I'm driving into the sunset, and I get to Scipio, Utah, and I kind of broke my pattern, because I have one pump that I like to go to when I pull in, but I had a trailer this time, so I had to pull into this outside area so that I could just drive straight out and around the gas station over there at Scipio. So I filled up, tanked up, and make sure I was topped off. And that's just my habit. I always like to stop at that particular gas station. So I hit the road, and I started doing the climb out heading south on I-15. And as soon as I get beyond the point where I can turn around, my Excursion died. Just like that. Stopped running. Pull over off to the side of the road, hit my 4-ways. What the heck? So, let it sit, started up. Went up the hill, Scipio Hill. About, a mile or so farther, my Excursion died again. I have nowhere I can turn around. So I'm trying to figure out what's going on with the Excursion, and I finally made it up, and I figure, okay, I got bad gas, so just keep on trying, and I'll eventually burn through the gas. Well, it was acting like it was being starved for fuel, and I had just changed the fuel filter recently. So I figured, well, maybe the fuel pump's going bad or something like that. Or I didn't figure that right away. I figured I had like a venting problem or something like that, because I had water condensation on the gas cap, and I figured, well, maybe it's a venting problem, and the draw from the fuel pump is creating a vacuum, which it makes the problem worse. So I took the gas cap off, and the Excursion actually ran better for that, for a stretch, and I made it up through Cedar City, and it died on me one more time, and then after that it ran fine all the rest of the way to Phelan. I stopped and got gas topped off in Arizona, and because I'm on a mission, I'm trying to get somewhere. And I got to Phelan, and stayed the night in my mom's trailer, which that's a different story. I didn't really want to sleep in the trailer just because of me. So I got some sleep and then started the plan. Now I'm doing this trip so that I can go and recover my Oldsmobile and bring it back to Salt Lake City, or not Salt Lake City, but Ogden, before I'm trying to beat the weather, which didn't happen, obviously, at the time of this recording. So I get to California, and the truck is acting up again. So I figured, the truck meaning my Ford Excursion. So it starts acting up, and starts stalling and doing like it's starvation problems. So I figure I've got bad gas or something, or the fuel pump is failing, or I don't know. So, okay, we'll figure that out later. The first thing I did was, because my mom had been sick for a year or so, the battery was dead on her truck, and the fob, the key lock fob for her truck was bad, and I also needed to have some locksmith come out and fit my Oldsmobile with new keys for at least the trunk, the gas tank, and the ignition, because when my mom had first moved into the trailer, one of her neighbors, who was a meth head, had stolen the keys to the Oldsmobile and my Ford Pinto. So there's all this stuff that I'm trying to do in a certain space of time, and my Excursion's acting up. So I'm just going through the paces. So the next morning, I'm up and trying to figure out what's going on with the Excursion, with the fuel problems, that I don't know exactly what's going on with it, because it doesn't have a mechanical fuel pump, so it's not easy for me to just fix it right away, so that right off the bat. So I start working on the Oldsmobile, and we tried the keys. I have actually a fairly large box of keys, probably 200 keys. They're all GM keys or Ford keys or weird keys. And I go through it, and I found one key, popped the trunk, and lo and behold, trunk was open, and there's all of these parts for my Pinto in the trunk of my Olds. And it's kind of weird, because I was trying to keep this quiet, but I had bought a set of polished 5-slot, or their Anson style 5-slot rims for my Pinto, and I had bought us a pair for the front of the Pinto, because I have a specific look that I'm going for. So anyway, well, I had totally forgotten that I already had a pair of rims. So now I've got 4 Ford Pinto rims, then also there's some Mustang, Fox body Mustang rims. They're 4-lug, 4 1/4 inch bolt pattern. I thought those had been stolen. Those were in the trunk, and all of my because I was getting ready to rebuild the engine on the Pinto, so I had all these tools, a bore hone and ridge reamers and all kinds of stuff, compression rings. Still haven't found the pistons. I had 4 forged pistons, and so I was getting ready with the Pinto to do all this stuff. Well, I had all of my Oldsmobile intake manifolds and stuff like that in the trunk of the Olds, these rims and all these parts. So I'm like bonanza, you know. I've got all this stuff in a couple of my drag racing journals when I was being serious about racing the Pinto. So that was all good and everything like that. And there's a lot of stuff that I was doing. It's hard to keep an order on it. So I proceeded, after I got my mom's truck charged, and we got a new fob for her truck, so that now that there's no problem starting it and the alarm doesn't go off all the time and all of this stuff, so my sister can use the truck, because my mom has passed away and obviously she won't need the truck anymore. So on top of this, in the back of my head, I'm like, well, I got to figure out what to do with the Excursion, because I don't know what's going on. So with the Excursion, I went over to a shop, and they said that they would do the fuel pump for $450 or so. And, you know, okay, that's cool. But while we were looking, because they did check the codes on it, and the guy said that my Excursion had been reset. Now, I don't know exactly what happened to cause it to be reset to 0, so there was no codes or anything on there, which means the Excursion was actually running fine. So, in my opinion, now I'm not a genius with Ford Excursions. So, this was a Saturday or something like that, and I didn't realize that it was Sunday that the guy was supposed to do the thing. Well, while we were working on while looking at the Excursion, I noticed that the coolant reservoir had a crack in it. It was a little tiny crack, just a hairline crack, but it was showing little bubbles. So I figured, maybe the Excursion is going into an engine failsafe mode, where it would let you drive just long enough to get someplace without doing damage to the engine, so that at least you can get somewhere. That's what I was thinking in my head. I don't know if Ford's that smart. So that's that part. So anyway, this shop was going to do the fuel pump on the Excursion, but so what I did, and I didn't tell them to order any parts or anything like that. So I went back over to my mom's trailer and called AutoZone, and AutoZone had the reservoir. That's a big plastic reservoir that fits at the front, obviously. So I had this new reservoir. I put that in and filled it up and started the Excursion and let it sit and idle for 2 hours. No problem. It didn't stall. It didn't do anything like that. I was able to drive back and forth in Phelan from where my mom's trailer is to get parts for the Olds. Now, once the Excursion was out of my head as far as trouble, because it was running just fine. I actually did a couple of trips from Phelan to Hesperia, and then I did a road test trip from Phelan all the way up to Baker or Barstow, whichever one's closer to Phelan, because I'm not familiar with the order of things up there, the high desert. So the Excursion ran fine, didn't miss a beat or anything like that. So I'm totally cool with all of this going on. So I start work on the Oldsmobile, and I had bought a brand new battery because the old battery was dead even though it was brand new. So I put the new battery in. We tried to start the Olds. It would not. There was only one time where it tried to idle, and then it wouldn't idle anymore. So I figured, oh, well, it needs a rebuild. The Quadrajet needs a rebuild kit. So I tried to get a rebuild kit through AutoZone, but it would take 2 days for delivery, and the only kit, the Quadrajet kit that they had, was way down on the coast, 100 miles away. I don't have this time to do all this stuff. Plus, I've got stuff inside my mom's trailer that I need to load into my Excursions. So I'm trying to handle all these things. Plus, I'm still waiting on the locksmith to show up. So, my time space is getting more and more compressed. So I kept working on the Olds until I was like, it's not gonna work. And I thought that the Excursion was gonna be just fine. And after the test drive and everything like that, and then it died on me again. And I'm like, this is not a good thing. So what I did, I told everybody, okay, after the fix and doing what I could do, I got the heebie-jeebies. Now, the heebie-jeebies are like a superstitious thing, a feeling, a bad feeling. Don't do it. So I finally told everybody, I'm not towing the Olds. I've got the heebie-jeebies. It's not going to go well, period, at all. It's not going to go well. And mind you, I still got this Uhaul trailer for towing the Olds back here to Utah, Ogden, Utah. So, and everybody's all, what are you talking about? You're crazy. Everything's working fine, this, that, and the other. I'm like, I don't know. I got that feeling. Anybody you talk to up there will understand. And in the meantime, after I said that I had the heebie-jeebies, I don't want to tow it, I don't want to get stuck somewhere where I can't do anything. And everybody else is trying to convince me. And I had to add, I almost forgot, I have my driver's side front tire is flat and will not take air. So that's another complication. And I can't get the Olds done, and everybody's all, well, we can push it on. Well, my other concern is at the other end. I already have somebody who flaked on me, so I can't depend upon anybody to help me push my Olds into my driveway, especially with a flat tire. Because I probably could have gotten another tire while I was out there, but I'm trying to think about all these things in a row to take care of. Because plus I still have stuff like my mom's China hutch and other stuff that I need to bring back to Utah with me. So it's starting to be a pile on. I'm tired. I'm hungry. I've only eaten once or twice. I haven't taken a shower or a bath or brushed my teeth for 2 or 3 days because the time is piling up, and I'm trying to solve all these problems on my own, and I'm the only one that can solve these problems. So I go back to trying to get the Olds to run. I pulled the fuel pump off and soaked the diaphragm because it's a Holly pump. I went back over to, I think I did 4 or 5 trips to AutoZone. I had to buy a battery charger to charge the battery on my mom's truck, and I had to do some other stuff going back and forth trying to get parts, and I had some tools that I didn't get properly in my rush to get prepared to go to California. So I'm feeling more and more pressure. I'm under the gun. And so I went to AutoZone. They had an Oldsmobile fuel pump. Well, I went there and looked at it. It's a stock fuel pump. Well, I have a Holley pump, which my fuel line routing is completely different, and the Oldsmobile pump has a big opening thing that's probably for emissions, for the evap. Well, that was not going to, the pump they had was not going to work, period. And they only had 2 pumps and they were the same pump. So basically I was screwed on that part. I'm not, and couldn't get the Olds to run and idle. I could get it to start, no problem. And my governor on the TAC worked fine. Electrical's fine on it. Everything. I just needed a carburetor and a fuel pump. Well, probably I only need a carburetor. But anyway, so finally it's like done. We've done as much as we can. I had made a friend with some people in Phelan who said, don't worry about the Oldsmobile. It's safe. I had people coming out of the woodwork wanting to buy the car for $800, $500. No. Finally, one guy came up and he said, that's a $15,000 car, $15,000 to $20,000 car. There was another guy, I'm not going to say his name, but nobody trusts him. But I didn't get a no trust feeling from him. And he offered to let me put the car on his property. But everybody was telling me that not to trust him, because what he'll do is after 40 days, he'll put an abandonment title on it and steal a car from you. Okay, well, when you have 7 or 8 people saying the same thing, you're like, okay, make it stop. Okay, because I don't have the same feeling as them. So, this guy, Roland, that I met, and we became friends, he said, I'm going to put your car, don't worry about your Oldsmobile, I'm going to put it on my property. Now, he's lived in Phelan for 20 years. I have his address, I know who he is, and he's made friends with my mom and a bunch of other stuff, and he has friends in the car culture. He said, don't worry about it. We will handle everything for you. You're not going to lose your car. He said this over and over and over again. I'm in a position where I have no choice but to trust him. And nobody else trusts the other guy. So, anyway, I got that part solved. And I need to get back to Utah. And everybody's all, well, you've got one more day. No, I don't have one more day because I don't know what's going to happen with the Excursion. Because I still don't trust the Excursion. I'm not going to tow because I had the heebie-jeebies. So, and period, I had that bad feeling. And no, I did not jinx this. This is called foreknowledge or whatever, or not taking chances, or being safe, and so that's the way it is. So anyway, I got back on the road, and I made it. All the Excursion ran without a hiccup all the way through Vegas and out of Vegas proper, and I made it past Mesquite. Just past Mesquite, the Excursion died. Now I still had the trailer on there, mind you. So the Excursion died, and I could not get it restarted, period. And maybe I was rushing it or whatever, who cares? I don't know what's going on with it, because it ran perfectly fine all the way from Phelan to just before a little town called Littleville. So I called my insurance company, which is Progressive, and told them, hey, I'm stuck. And they looked up my policy and said, you're not covered. Okay. Well, I have comprehensive coverage on the Excursion. Whatever, I'm not going to complain about it. Well, I'm going to change insurance companies. That's a fact. So, regardless of whether the choice was mine or not, I've been with Progressive Insurance for 4 years, and I've only had one window chip claim. Okay, and that's the way they make money. That's fine. We'll solve that problem later. So they charged me $181 for a tow from where I was to the next off-ramp, which is a town called Littleville, which was, by eyesight, if I measure with my thumb, it was a mile. But I can't tell you why or how I gauge that. It's just how I gauge. It was 1 mile. So they were going to charge me $180, $81 Progressive, to have my Excursion and the trailer towed into Littleville, where there's no shop, there's no garage, there's no nothing. It's just to get me off the road, just to get me off the freeway. So I'm not happy with Progressive over that. But it could have been just a choice that I made or whatever. But loyalty is loyalty. So anyway, there was a guy who works for the Arizona Department of Transportation who came up and kept me company while I was waiting for my tow for 1 mile for $181 to get off the free I-15 in a town that doesn't have a garage. So I'm waiting on that. So anyway, the tow truck showed up really quick. It was probably less than half an hour where I was, and I got fortunate. There's a difference between fortune and luck. I got fortunate. I'll put it that way. So the guy came up, pulled up, super nice guy, Mexican, Latino. He lives in Mesquite, and it's a Bulldog Transportation. So he's talking while he's working, which is fine with me. And, I did my part, and he did his part. We're helping each other out. It's not like I'm being Mr. Boss Man, I'm paying for this kind of thing, because that's just not me, my nature. And I learned through experience that being friendly makes friends. Who'd have thunk that, So I asked him, I said, well, if I give you $150, will you transport me to St. George? He's like, yeah, no problem. Now, probably I got overcharged, but I made the deal without a bargaining, and you know what? I don't care. I'm not going to dicker with somebody who's being decent from the start. And he didn't even question it. He just said, okay. And I said, do you know of any good shops? And he said, yes, I will take it. There's 2 shops. There's one that's a good shop, but there's no hotels next to it. And there's another one that can drop you off there. And there's a hotel right across the street from the shop. So he loaded up my Excursion, and he put my trailer on the 2-inch ball for the trailer, and he took me to St. George, and it was right off the freeway, right there. So it was a Riverside Chevron. So the Mexican guy pulled in, knew exactly what to do, backed up the Uhaul trailer, and parked it, pulled forward again, and unloaded the Excursion. He did all of this stuff. I don't know if that's a normal part because I've never had broken down like this before. And then he goes, wait here. Well, let me have your key. Wait here. He went into the Chevron and gave them the key to my Excursion and a note and my business card. And he said, this shop opens up at 7 a.m. So make sure you wake up at 7 a.m. and go over there and tell them what's going on with your truck, your Excursion. And I was like, okay, that's easy. Thank you. And I was like, well, here's 160. I didn't have any way to make change. Well, Chevron was right there, but I'm not going to dicker. Okay, I'm not in that mode. And no, I'm not so wealthy I can just throw money away. But goodwill is goodwill. Okay, this guy helped me out without even questioning, hesitating, or anything with this tow truck. So, and yes, I do know he got paid $181 for 1 mile. So he had a good day, and he had every reason to be in a good mood. Okay. So I went over to the hotel, and I can't remember the name of the hotel, and I should have looked it up, but it's not important. It's a nice hotel, I'll put it that way, and $10 cheaper than Motel 6. The only problem was no Turner Classic Movies. So that was a problem because those movies are easy to sleep to. Something about the language or maybe the English accent or whatever, they're not obnoxiously loud or anything like that. All of their television stuff was pay-per-view, $20. I'm not going to pay $20 for one night. Okay, I already spent, but they only charged me $70. So, anyway, 7 a.m. came around. I still haven't taken a shower or anything like that. I'm beyond being stressed. I'm just like, make it stop. So I got up, went across the street, and the guys were there. I told them what was going on with it, and they immediately pulled my Excursion into the garage. And I said, well, fuel pump, as far as I know, and that's all I knew. And they said, they were kind of like, well, we're going to do this at your direction. And I'm like, well, whatever. I need to be somewhere so that I can keep my job. Which maybe was a stupid thing to say, I don't care. That, I have a lot more faith in my fellow Utahns than people say that I should. And then I'm not being naive. I know I could get ripped off. Okay? But I need to be to work. So, they started working on the truck, and they had other jobs scheduled. So they did this for me. And here comes the kitty again. Hi, Xena. So, they started working on the truck. I'm not going to sit there and hover. So, what I did is I went over to the hotel and, took a shower, shaved, brushed my teeth, and did all this other stuff so that I'm actually fresh. And it's the first shower, whatever, that I've had in a couple days. Or 3 or 4 days. Because I'm trying to get everything taken care of, and I don't really care what I look like. But I'm in a position where I got time, and I'm not going to hover. They're not going to ask questions. I'm not going to bother these guys or say, I need to come in. I'm not going to do this to people who are helping me out of schedule for everything. So I went and took care of all this other stuff. And I was trying to kill time so that I wouldn't be hovering around the garage or hanging out or bugging anybody. So I said, where's an AutoZone? And the cashier lady was like, oh, it's just a mile up the road. Well, it's 2 miles. Okay. So I walked up to the AutoZone so I could buy a can of a little tiny can of my favorite air fresheners called Ozium, which is in airport ground transportation, it's the difference between a $5 tip and a $40 tip. So not the scented Ozium, just the blue bottle Ozium is good stuff. Well, because I hadn't had a shower or anything like that, and I was starting to reuse my socks and my clothes, to me the room smelled like I had been smoking in it. No, I was not smoking in it. The way their air conditioning system, the heat, I like the heat because it was a little chilly, would keep recycling the smoke smell off of me. So my nose is tickling. So anyway, I took my shower and everything like that, and then decided I was going to walk up to the AutoZone. And I got my Ozium and was walking back, and I noticed that I only had like 15 minutes to get back to the hotel so that I could check out. And so on the way down, there's a Jimmy John's sandwich shop right there. I'm like, oh, well, I'm in a bad situation. There's no reason for fear. So I walked into this Jimmy John's and I said, there's three guys just standing around doing nothing. I said, I'm going to ask you a question that you've never been asked before. And they're like looking at me like, oh, who's this weird person? And I said, how much would you charge me to deliver me to this hotel down by the Riverside Chevron? And they said, all three of them said, you're right, we've never been asked this before. And they're like, just go out, we'll take you down there. So they took me down there and I made it to the hotel in time to check out. And so I wouldn't get charged for an extra day because I was 5 minutes late. Because I knew my time to distance walking. So they took care of me on that, and I didn't have enough small bills to give them a tip, and they waved me off on it anyway. So I ended up stuck outside. Yeah, it was kind of chilly, but I just sat on the Uhaul trailer. So in the meantime, while they're working on the truck, I called Uhaul. And, I was like, I explained my situation, and I don't know which office I got, but they're like, well, there's going to be a $500 charge. I'm like, okay, well, I'm stuck. My truck broke down, and is there any way I can, drop the trailer here so that I don't get the late charge? And the person on the phone was a total jerk. Now, I've been around the block a couple times, and I've always worked in customer service, and I know that when the numbers are that high, that there's room for negotiation. So I called the corporate office for Uhaul and told him my predicament. And my predicament was, I can't move the trailer. This is what's going through my head at this time. I can't move my trailer. The last person I talked to was a total jerk and said that no matter what's going to happen, I'm going to be charged $500. Period. Because the trailer wasn't back in time, this, that, and the other. Well, my vehicle has just gone kaput on me, okay? So I explained this to this guy, U-Haul executive, and I didn't get his name. But anyway, he said, you can drop it off at this address. It's a Dixie address. So I'm like, thank you, that's all I needed to know. I don't have a contract. I haven't looked at the credit card that I put the bill on. and I haven't had any extra charges yet that I'm aware of on cards that I use, because I divvy things up so that I don't get screwed. So when they finally got the Excursion done, and what the problem with the Excursion, it most likely wasn't the fuel pump, but I wanted the fuel pump changed anyway. I've been wanting it done, but the wait time in my local area is 2 weeks. Kind of like that movie, The Money Pit. You know what? Every time you ask a question, they say 2 weeks. Well, I was kind of in that situation. So, anyway, they troubleshooted the Excursion. It wasn't the fuel pump, but they replaced it anyway because it was at my direction. So, that's that part. So, they troubleshooted what was going on, and what it was is my Excursion, or excursions, I'm assuming, had a circuit board that has an integrated fuel pump relay. Well, the problem is that relay went bad, and so what was happening is, or something was going on between the relay and my fuel pump. Most likely the relay was bad. So they spent half a day troubleshooting all of this, and what they did is they bypassed the circuit board relay, installed an external relay, and rewired everything, soldered it in everything, took it for a test drive, made sure everything was okay, and the fuel tank was done in like 20 minutes. I don't know how they did it that fast. Okay, so I don't know. So anyway, I got back on the road, and the Uhaul representative told me to take the trailer to a Uhaul place that was in the middle of nowhere find 'em. Dixie. That's the address they gave me. I looked up Uhaul Dixie. Okay. So, yeah, I drove right past it. It was in a spot where if you're driving the speed limit on this road, you're going to drive past it the first time if you don't live there. Okay. I went down, did a circuit through the neighborhood with this trailer in my noisy Excursion with my exhaust on it, which is loud, through this nice, very nice neighborhood with Porsches and Lamborghinis and stuff like that. You know, I'm knocking on the door. Hey, can I get a loan? So anyway, yeah, made it through there and pulled in, and I can't really tell that there's a U-Haul office there. It doesn't look like, and they don't have a lot of equipment there. Probably because everybody's moving to Utah's Dixie. I don't know. What, kitty? So anyway, I'm going to the office, and there we go again. I said, this is what I was told to do by corporate. I don't live here, so there's no reason why I would know that this address is here unless I talk to somebody. And I said, I was told to leave the trailer here. My guy's pissed off. U-Haul. Pissed off again. Okay, fine. You know, fine. So, anyway, I dropped off the trailer. The guy was a jerk. He was not helpful at all. Didn't help with unhooking the trailer. Didn't help with backing up or anything, which is fine. I mean, U-Haul was living up to the expectation that they had already settled with the beginning of my trip. So they were the capper on the U-Haul part. Then So I'm free of the trailer. And I didn't realize this, and I didn't think about this until afterwards, but I probably could have towed the trailer up to Utah, but the Uhaul place, what, Kitty, would have been closed by the time I got there. And then I would have had to deal with the jerky Uhaul customer service again in Ogden. So, okay, Benny, I don't have to deal with them. So anyway, I got back in the Excursion, topped off the tank, and made it all the way back from St. George to Ogden, Utah, 80 miles an hour most of the way, except for through Salt Lake, which is 70, and then gets up to 75 around, I don't know around town, it's Parish Lane, going north. Made it through, not a single hiccup, and amazingly, to me, the Excursion only used half a tank of gas. As a matter of fact, it was slightly over half a tank. Going from St. George, Utah, all the way to Ogden, Utah, and most of the trip was at 80 miles an hour. I bypassed Scipio, but that was by accident, not because I have any angst against Scipio, because I know it wasn't bad gas. So I made it all the way back up, and the Excursion it has a new quirk. It won't, in the morning, when I turn the ignition key, it won't start on the first try. But turn it off and then do it again, it'll start on the second try. So I don't know what's changed. It might be the first time activates the replacement relay, or something. Somebody out there in the universe will know what's going on with this relay. So anyway, it runs smoother with this new relay in, and amazingly, because I've had the Excursion for 3 winters, but this new relay, that in the wet, now my Excursion has a limited slip differential. I'm going to use limited slip as the word because I'm not sure if the Ford version of Positraction is traction lock. Okay, but man, that the bottom end, the throttle response right off of idle is totally different than the way it was before. It used to be progressive, but now the power's there right off the start. On dry ground, it won't do a burnout, but if it's even slightly wet, it changed something in the bottom end power with it. So it's definitely running better. It runs smoother. It's idling lower at a lower idle speed. Gauging by the gauge, because the Ford gauges aren't accurate to save your life, really. You know, how fast are you going on the RPMs? It's like, well, kind of like 1200 or, at 80 miles an hour it's 2200 or whatever. All right, 2200 RPM. I'm not used to the engine turning that low RPMs at the speeds that the freeways go out here. So anyway, it's running smoother. It's getting way better gas mileage. And hi, Jules. Good. Where are you? Oh, here you are. So anyway, it's all around turned out better as far as that. I haven't checked to see if Uhaul has decided to exercise more bad customer service and then send me a bill or whatever. Because it's not something I did on purpose. It's not something I had planned. It's not something I was just trying to get away with. I was just in desperation to get home so that I can keep my job, you know. And U-Haul helped out so much with the relief and the stress of making sure that somebody knows that a company that I've used before, because I towed my Pinto from Phelan, California to Ogden, Utah without a hitch. You know, no problem. And it's not like a mechanical problem happened with the Excursion that would have let me know what was going on. It was an electrical problem, and I didn't want to get stuck with the trailer in case the electrical problem continued. But the whole trip was just crazy. I'm in the market for an 18-foot to 20-foot open trailer. I don't know how to put the electric brakes in. The Excursion already has the hookup, but I don't know I've got more learning to do, but I'm not going to use U-Haul again unless I'm absolutely desperate, and I don't want to spend $2,000 on a Penske truck to use a Penske trailer behind a Ford van or whatever van, because I just need it to haul my Oldsmobile, which actually might be a good idea for a van with a trailer. So just for the number of days that I need to tow my Olds. That's a thought. But I'm in the market for an 18-foot car hauler, which I'm probably going to need because I'm going to need to flatbed my Volvo. And once I start getting work done on the Pinto, I'm not going to be paying U-Haul any money every time I need to go take the Pinto to have something done that I can't do myself. So probably the 18 to 20 foot trailer would be a good idea anyway, because I'll save in the end run for the payments on the trailer for what I want to do to get the Pinto back on the road and get my Volvo taken care of so that I can sell it without being cheesed on by the local Volvo dealership, where, you know, they could have treated me a little bit better instead of dickering and whatever. You know, I was thinking about selling the Volvo, but now I'm not going to sell the Volvo because they tried to lowball me and the salesman was a jerk about it. And I didn't get pissed off. I was just like, you know, trying to sort out my options. And I have somebody at work that wants to buy the Volvo for a marketable price. So, you know, maybe my saga with Volvo is over with. And I love my Volvo C30. It's a fun car to drive. It's fast. It's quick. And it's fast. And the fuel tank's a little small, but it gets reasonable gas mileage. And I had actually wanted to do a trip in the Volvo from, two trips, just for the fun of it, for something to do. Is I wanted to drive the I-15 from San Diego all the way up to Canada just to see how long it takes. And also I do another trip from San Diego to Holton, Maine in the Volvo. But I also want to do the same trip in some different vehicles. But that's a different story. It's a pipe dream that I would like to do. I'm actually just a drag racer, but I love my long road trips, and I track my times, and I like to see how long it takes to get from point A to point B and that kind of stuff. I mean, there's people that watch my videos that'll be like, well, you need to be careful, and you're not getting younger, and you don't know it. Oh, okay, guess what? Born crying, die smiling. Okay? That's all I have to say. See? I'm not that old. People. So anyway, there it is. This is the second video I posted, and this turned out, I was trying to talk faster, but I guess I don't talk fast enough. Well, anyway, that's it. And my cats are wanting me. It's about my normal bedtime because I have a hard time getting to sleep because I work nights. So this would be, I'd be going to bed about half an hour early if I went to bed right now. So thanks for watching. That's my Excursion, Oldsmobile, Uhaul, Saga. So thanks for watching. I'm trying to get things back in shape, but I don't know when that's going to happen. Anyway, it's almost Christmas, so Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays. And you know, if you don't celebrate these holidays, you know, I hope you're not allergic to goodwill and well wishes and all of that stuff. So anyway, God bless, and that's my saga. I don't know what I'm going to do next because it's been snowing like crazy the last couple of days, and thank goodness I got my Excursion because it's four-wheel drive and it does really well in four-wheel drive, except I want to get my tires rotated. I'm not going to do that myself, and I have a company out here that will do it for free because of my Volvo. I buy lots of tires. And my Crown Vic, because of the Crown Vic's handling characteristics and everything like that, I'm easy on brakes and easy on tires. And I don't understand how people go through a set of brakes in a year. Because, I mean, I drive my Crown Vic hard, but I don't go through parts and tires and brakes like all these other people do. So there's something in my technique that's different. Is my Crown Vic I've had since '06, and I've only done one set of brakes on it because that's all it needed. And I've done the spark plugs once. I did that myself, but it took a whole day to do that because I had to do it very slow because it's an '02 Crown Vic, which means it. And yes, it did have the short plugs, but since I changed it, took my time, and was patient. Still runs great. It's about 160,000 miles, and I'm still getting 23 miles to the gallon, even though if the engine has kind of a putter to the exhaust, so that might be just maybe I need to do a seafoam treatment or something like that, but it's still getting good gas mileage. And I had to replace the fuel pump because I ran it out of fuel. Anyway, before I continue rambling, it is 1:02 a.m. my time at the time of recording this video. So thanks for watching, and I haven't forgotten about you guys. I just had a serious case of posting block. I haven't known what to post lately. I've been so distracted trying to get everything else done that I'm lucky to be still standing and walking around. So anyway, there it is. Happy holidays. Bye.